Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Coffee Run live episode 543 coming at you from the office today. Have you missed my office? I've missed my office. I do really. It's funny. I really enjoy being out of here. By which I mean I've been really feeling the pinch of lack of traveling. It's really kind of interesting, actually. Hey Cameron, how are you? And in fact, I've kind of, it's funny, like my kids will get home from school, or my husband will roll on home, and I'm sitting out on the bench, like with the, like the big colorful picture that's been sitting behind me of like, I'm out the back there. I'm not out the back. I'm out there because I have a really big need and desire for variety in my work life. Now, I typically would travel at least every couple of months, sometimes domestically, sometimes internationally, and COVID hit. And therefore, I don't get to travel anywhere near as much as what I have. So, that's why I've been working out in the other area. What's kind of funny is I've also got, I like to set up my rooms differently. So I've got my black and white stripe wallpaper there, which is when I'm feeling very fancy. I've got this when I feel like I've been a bit more edgy. And then I've got the beach. You guys, I'm sure you've seen it. I'll show you anyway. So we've got like the beach over here. Excuse the mess, which is I'll often do stuff on there. That's the graffiti wall. And then we've got the black and white wall, like, as you know, over there. You guys have seen that before. So anyway, coming to you, by the by, like we don't need to talk about backgrounds, but this has been the way that I've been able to fulfill my need for variety, almost, not quite really, in the last couple of weeks. But that's not really what I wanted to talk to you about today. What I wanted to talk to you about today is this process of seeing it before you do it. So I remember even in 2013, 2012, 2011, actually 2011, the end of 2011, I'd been in my business for, it was the second year of business. And I remember looking for and really feeling this big kind of need to, I don't know, like to level up. I didn't know what I was missing out on. And I felt like there was something that I wasn't had me doing. I really felt like there was a piece of the puzzle that I was missing. And I remember going on this business retreat. It was really kind of, hey Leanne, how are you? It was a really interesting thing because it wasn't it was definitely a business intensive. I was away, I think, for 7 days, away from my family. My kids at that age in 2011, my kids were like 3, maybe 5, maybe it was 2 and 4 and 9. Like they were little people. I'd never been away from my family for an extended period of time before, and I was freaking out. I didn't tell my husband they were calling it a business retreat. I'm like, it's a business intensive. Like this is what we're doing. Even though there was some kind of like relaxing elements in there, it was very much about growing your business, mentoring, being coached, like all of that kind of thing. But what was really cool, I remember in this particular time, it was the first that I remember, it was maybe the second time that I remember being led through like a guided visualization. And it was this visualization about, being able to see all of the people that you've been able to help, in 5 or 10 years' time. And they're all sitting in front of you. And there's like millions of people in here, or tens of thousands of people, or hundreds of people, or tens of people, depending on what our each individual goals were. And ever since then, I really found that for me, what really helps me is spending time living in the future in my head, right? Our brains don't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And so what we can do in terms of like hitting goals, in terms of creating different stuff, in terms of aligning to what it is that you want, if you can get into a state, a really relaxed visual state where you can imagine what it is that you want as if it's already happened. So this could be revenue, it could be money, it could be clients, it could be the house that you want to live in, it could be the kind of health that you want to have. It could be anything like that. And what I've really been able to learn and do is solve some pretty big problems actually from being in that state. So if you were to think about some things that are troubling you right now, right? And maybe you don't know what the next best step to take might be. Maybe you don't know what it is that you should be doing, who it is that you should be listening to, what you want to create, what you should price your program or your product at. One of the best things that I think to help you create clarity that works for me anyway is getting into this future state. So if you were to close your eyes and you've got this problem, right, that might be around not knowing what the next step is to take. And you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the next step is to take. And usually what happens is our brains go like, right, particularly if we're overwhelmed or under pressure. And it can be hard sometimes. Well, I found it can be hard sometimes to try and create clarity from that space. So what I do is I get into that moment, into that state of being just kind of like calming the frog down for a second and putting myself in a future timeline, right? So for me, the future is kind of like out to the side or out to the front. So I put myself into a future timeline. And what I mean by that is going, all right, well, I know that I've got this problem right now, but let's pretend I don't have that problem. And this is the way that I talk to myself in this state. So, all right, let me get into that future state where I've got the clients, where I've got the money, where I've got the programs, where I've got the body, where I've got the muscles, where I've got the clarity, where I've got whatever it is that I want, the hair, whatever it is that I want. And I kind of sit there and I think, all right, well, if I can imagine it, I know I can make it happen, right? That's a belief of mine that I've instilled over many years of just kind of like drilling it in, coding it into my DNA. It's like, if I can imagine it, I know I can do it. Right? So that's the first thing. If I can imagine it, I know I can do it. So I put myself into that future state of making $1 million or $2 million or $10 million or helping 10 million people around the world, or, getting unsolicited testimonials and feedback and comments and whatever it might be. Put myself into that future state in my head. And then what I'll do is I'll look at reverse engineering. It's like, okay, well, if I can imagine it, I know it can be true. So what did I do? Or what action did I take to make that happen? How did I solve this problem? And I give myself some time to sit in that ultimate outcome state and then reverse engineer. And what I found 99% of the time, because there's like that 1% where my brain chatter just doesn't shut the hell up and, I have to go and walk it off and whatever. So it doesn't always work for me, but 99% of the time it does. Get myself into that state. And what I imagine is like, okay, so what did I do just before that? Or what did I sell? Like, what was I talking about? What did I do? Who did I have around me? If there were no barriers, right? Because in this future state, there's no barriers. There's no hurdles, everything is accessible. So what did I do? And what that usually gives me is an action step or a set of action steps that I can take in order to bring that to life. So let's say it was, I just had the most amazing support around me and, people talking about my stuff without me thinking about it. Okay, so how did I do that? And then you can bring it back another step. How did I do that? What did I do? I kind of just went like, fuck it, let's just do it. And this is the thing that I did, like without any boundary, without any ego, without any sense of worrying about what anybody else might think or say or do or whatever. Then I kind of got the chance to reverse engineer that actual process. I just went live with for Module 1, Unpack Your Genius, the Pathway to Millions. And one of the things that I took people through was a way of thinking about all of the areas in your life. And this is really about visualizing and seeing things before you do it. So most people, when they're in a state of overwhelm, it's almost like you've got like the crazy trees. Like if you were to look at the root system of a tree, like all of the roots go in all of these crazy directions, right? Or even the branches can go off in crazy directions. But I'm imagining the roots of these trees. So if all of the roots of the trees are all going in all over the place, and well, you could go that way, you could go that way, you could go this way, you could go this way. The thing that we want to do is go, all right, well, rather than having all of these options, what would be the ultimate thing for you, right? So we want to try and create clarity, and you can't have clarity when you're overwhelmed, or when there's mess, or when you're not taking a step forward. So to me, one of the best things that you can do is go, okay, well, I have got I know I want to build an online business, right? I want to have that laptop lifestyle. Let's say that that's your plan. I've already got this. So, I'm imagining that this is maybe what you're thinking. So if you're thinking, I want to have this laptop lifestyle, I really want to be able to work from anywhere, I want to be able to build online programs, or I just want to be able to help a bunch of people. Being able to help a bunch of people is a really awesome and noble goal, right? But there is no clarity in that. It's just like, go and help a bunch of people. Okay, cool. Go down to the mall and, try and help people. You could go to the airport and try and help people. Just wanting to help people isn't enough to get you to take action, or to get you to start to do things. So yes, I want to help a bunch of people. You can visualize all of those people. That's awesome. The next thing that you want to think about is, well, what would I ultimately want to create? And this isn't about going, well, Nicola does things in this way, such and such does things in this way, such and such does things in this way. I have to do it in that way, otherwise it's not going to work. That is total bullshit. When you come back to what do you want to create and how do you want to create it, that's where you've got to give yourself permission to be able to dream, right? So I remember being in Perth. Actually, before that, I remember being at an event. What year are we in? 2021. So it must have been 2019. I remember being in this event in 2019, and I'd gone through this whole process of, being a bit pissed off because I wasn't where I thought that I should be, 9 years into having a business. I was like, I should be further along by now. And I was having a bit of a moment. And I had this visualization that I went through, or this kind of like meditation sort of process that I went through. And I got myself into a state where I was like, all right, Nick, for fuck's sake, let go of all of the things that you think you should be doing, or that you have been doing, or all of the barriers. If there are no barriers, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to be on fucking stage. Like, I want to be on stage. I want to be helping people. That's that thing. I want to be helping all of the people. But my ultimate thing was like, I just want to be on stage. I just want to be, and it's not about like me, although there is a bit of ego in that, because I think that that's fun, and it's my happy place. But take that out of it. I know if I'm on stage, that means that there are many people in this room, whether it's a room or a stadium. I visualized a stadium, that I can help, right? So there's like so many people that I can help, and this is what I can do, and this is how I would do it. So by the time I got rid of the barriers in my head to going, yeah, but, I got rid of the buts, I got rid of the shoulds, I got rid of the, oh yeah, but, or, there's plenty of other speakers out there, there's like a bunch of people already doing that, blah, blah, blah. Put all of that in the trash. I've gone, okay, so if this is ultimately what I want, I don't know if it's going to work, but heck, I'm going to pull out all stops and try and make it work. And, why the hell not? Why the hell not? And so it was there, and I've gone, all right, well, if I was doing this, how would I do it? If I was going to be on stage, then how would I do it? And I was like, dude, you have to travel. Like, you got to travel around and do a national tour. And I was like, oh, that feels really exciting. What would I do? How would that look? What would I, and then the ideas started to just kind of flow. But the way that I got, and I did do the national tour, and it was fucking amazing. And, I traveled all around the country, and it was awesome. Scheduled the next one, and then COVID happened, but that's by the by. It was just, to me, it was like, oh my God, if I hadn't spent the time to tap in to getting rid of the barriers, getting rid of the shoulds, getting rid of the can'ts, getting rid of CAN apostrophe T, in case you're tripped up by my accent, getting rid of the can'ts, getting rid of any perceived barriers, any perceived negativity, putting all of that aside and going, you know what, if I could do anything, what would I be doing? And then imagining that to be true. And then I was able to go, right, this is the thing that I would do. And then this is the thing that I would do. And then this is the thing that I would do. And then it got to the point of going, all right, well, what feels like the next best first step that I need to take? And I was like, well, I've got to go and book the rooms. I've got to go and book my flights. And then I've got to go and start marketing it, right? Because I know if I pay for flights and if I pay for accommodation and if I'm doing all of that stuff and I'm paying for the room hire, I will move heaven and earth to make sure that I can bring that to life. So, and then I started talking about it. So what that did, it created some public accountability, obviously created some internal accountability, but it meant that if I just tried to sit here and go, all right, well, what am I going to do? I might have had a whole bunch of doubts coming in. I might have had a whole bunch of self-objections as to why I couldn't do it. So, or why I shouldn't do it, or why nobody would buy, or, that the market's already flooded, or whatever the thing might be. There would be a whole bunch of self-sabotage that would have come into play if I hadn't sat down and really done the exercise of visualizing what I really wanted before I really even knew what I wanted. So I trust that this makes sense. So if you're thinking about wanting to do things a little bit differently this year, and I know a lot of you are not just thinking about doing things differently this year, like you kind of have to be doing things differently this year. We're living in a world with an immense restrictions in various ways, shapes and forms compared to what we were, a couple of years ago. So you might not be looking at being able to do the things that you were able to do at the start of last year and in previous years. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing that you'll do is you'll get yourself into a really relaxed state. One of the ways that I do this is using 8-4 breathing. So you'll breathe in for 8, hold your breath for 4 counts, then breathe out through your mouth for 8 counts, hold your breath for 4 counts, breathe in through your nose for 8 counts, hold for 4, out for 8, hold for 4, in for 8, hold for 4. And just keep doing that until you feel, you'll feel yourself kind of go, it's almost like dropping in, and you'll feel really grounded, you'll feel really calm. And from there, what your job is to do is to go, okay, if there were no barriers, if there's no limits, if there's nothing that can get in my way, what is it that I really want to do? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Right? So really tap into those modalities so that you can experience and imagine that it's come true, so that you can experience what it looks like. One of the things that I did in this particular scenario is I actually journaled on what it would be like to be backstage in a stadium before walking up the stairs and walking on stage and then delivering to all of those people. I went through that process. Now, it hasn't happened yet in the way that I visualized it, but it's happened in different scales in the way that I visualized it. Now, I know because I've just decided that it will happen and that it will come true, and I don't know how and I don't know when, that is something that will come into reality because it is so crystal clear in my mind. I've experienced it, I've felt it, I've tasted it, I've smelt it. Like I know the smells, I know everything that is going to happen. And what that then allows me to do, and what I want you to do, is go, okay, so, what would I be doing in that state? What would I be doing in that moment? If it's about delivering a program on a beach while you're on holiday in Bali, you might not be able to make it to Bali at the minute, but you can still do all of this other stuff. Imagine it to be true. Go, okay, so this is what I want. All right, what does that look like? Who would I be doing it with? How would I be doing it? What technology would I be using? Am I going to be on this phone, or would I be on a different phone? Would I be on camera? Am I delivering to corporate? Am I delivering to public? Am I delivering to business owners? Am I delivering to consumers? Whatever it is. And then go, okay, cool. So So that's that. And then, how did they get in here? How did they get to this place? What was I talking about? What did I do? What problems was I solving? And then once you've got that clear, then you can reverse it back again and go, right, well, in order to make that happen, I better go find me a beach. Right? And then you just go and announce to the world, I'm going to do this program and this is what's going to happen and this is how much it is and it's going to be amazing and this is what the outcome is going to be. And then you start marketing your ass off, right? To make it come to life. So this is where the energetics, where intuition, where like the law of attraction kind of comes into play. But then we've got to blend that with the pragmatic, right? I had a client say to me, it's like pragmagic, Nick, what you do. And I was like, oh, that's right. Because I spend a lot of time and I don't realize I spend a lot of time, and I have spent a lot of time writing in what I want to create in my journal. I'll spend a lot of time imagining and visualizing and tasting and getting all of those senses firing with what it is that I want to create before I get out there and start marketing or start doing my thing. And I know that that's a huge reason why I'm still here, some 11 years later, after being in this business, when most businesses don't last past the first 2 years. So visualization is really important, but then you've got to take action, right? So yeah, see it before you do it, build a really beautiful, ornate, intricate fabric around it all. And then it's like, okay, what's the next thing that I need to do? What would be the next best step that I can take in order to bring this to life? And then, you're creating from a place of alignment. And that, my friends, is kind of like your superpower. Not even kind of like your superpower. That is your superpower when you are so tapped in and you are so clear and you're so excited and you're so just kind of like vibrant and you're like, yes, and it feels like you're on purpose. That's the stuff that magnetizes people to you, that has them going, right, you're the person I need to listen to. This is how this has to happen. Oh my God, you're doing this thing? Okay, yes, book me a seat, get me in the room. Bye, I want to be in your program. I want to learn from you. Send me your book, like whatever it is that you're selling. The thing is that your people need to feel that energetic pull. And seeing it before you do it is the best way for you to start. So, to reiterate, what you can do is, number one, spend some time getting into the zone of being in complete alignment. And sometimes this can be through journaling. Sometimes this can be just sitting and visualizing, and then a combination of that. I would recommend that the first thing you do is visualize. The second thing that you do is you're going to journal on it. The third thing that you're going to do is determine the steps that you need to take. I'm going to type these into the computer, into the comments in a second. Determine the steps that you need to take in order to bring this to life. And then you got to take motherfucking action, right? Because without that, nothing is going to happen. So that is what your mission is for today. Get visualizing, get clear, get all of that stuff down and in. Now, I did also, as I mentioned, this is something we went in depth into in Unpack Your Genius this morning. If you still need to get into that, then you can jump on in. We've got the session recorded. You get to keep it forever and ever and ever and ever. And you're very welcome to jump in on that. The link is in the comments and or in the show notes if you're listening in on the audio replay. All right, my friends. On that note, I'm going to go and draw breath and go make another coffee because I've been delivering for the last couple of hours. So get out there, go help some people, have a whole ton of fun doing it. Remember, the world is ready for your brand of awesome. And of course, I will see you tomorrow. Mwah, you rock. Bye.